y'all, welcome back to Simple Sanctuary Garden. My name is Sarah. Today I'm going to go over a few basic principles on how to help keep your garden hydrated. When I first started gardening, I had no idea how complicated something like watering could really be. I assumed that either plants were watered too much or not watered enough, and that probably you couldn't really water them too much. It was the not enough you needed to worry about. I got started basically watering completely wrong. And honestly, I would normally say that there's not a wrong way to water things, except for the way that I did it, because that was definitely wrong. One of the things to think about when watering your garden is what time of day to do it. The only time of day that I recommend avoiding is midday. The danger with watering midday is that a lot of what you do is going to evaporate, so it's really not that helpful for the plant. And when you get water on the leaves, the sun can scorch it, which can actually damage your plant. So you're more likely to do damage by watering midday than you are to actually help it. Another thing to contemplate is whether to water in the morning or in the evening. So someone told me this really great saying about a year ago, and it's you water in the morning to survive and in the evening to thrive. And this is for many of the same principles that you want to avoid watering midday. Throughout the day, you got a lot of heat, you get a lot of evaporation. So if you water in the morning, it's basically to help the plant survive the heat. This is something you'll probably want or need to do if you are growing in any kind of container, a bucket, a pot, a bin, sometimes even a raised bed. We do it a lot. And that'll be in like the heat of the summer that you'll want to water in the mornings. If you're watering in the morning, you also probably want to water in the evening. That's when they can absorb extra water. You'll see a lot more growth, but there are a lot of times where you're going to want to water in the morning as well. The next thing to think about is where you water. And I'm going to show you this on my tomatoes because tomatoes are notoriously fussy about water. Tomatoes do not like water on their leaves. Not just for the scorching effect, but when there's water on their leaves, they can sometimes hold moisture, and that will lead to mildews and blight. Where I am in Florida, this is a little bit unavoidable. By, the end of the summer, all of my tomatoes are gonna have blight. They're all gonna have some mold damage, some kind of disease, and it's just because it's really rainy here. It's really, really hot and humid here. There's gonna be moisture trapped. But another way to help stave that off is to water at the base. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that. And really what I do is take my hose sprayer and just try and keep it as low as I can and fairly soft. The goal of this, number one, is to avoid getting unnecessary moisture on the leaves. So I'm not spraying the whole plant down. I'm just watering by the roots. And then the second point is that by keeping the spray a little softer, I'm not getting as much splashback onto the leaves. Again, minimizing the amount of water that gets on them. This is riveting stuff, isn't it? So I mentioned a little bit ago that in the heat of the summer, sometimes I water twice a day. And that is mainly because, number one, it's crazy hot here. And number two, I grow out of containers and raised beds. So I have a much higher evaporation rate than someone who's growing in the ground in very rich soil. And honestly, if I was growing in the ground here, I'd probably still have to water twice a day because our soil is crazy sandy. But, Florida life. However, right now, before it's insanely hot, I don't need to do that. I don't need to water twice a day. In fact, I don't even need to water every day. Really, right now, the only things that I'm watering every single day are my water-heavy veggies and fruits, and I'll show you what those are. All right, this is my water-heavy bed. As you can see, I have a beautiful Brandywine tomato plant that's got 6 tomatoes on it, by the way. Anyway, but I've also got my miniature watermelons here. I have zucchini, but this is a really water heavy bed. If we've gotten a good rain, I might skip that day's watering. If I watered really good the day before and it did not get crazy hot, I might skip the next day. This sounds a little counterintuitive, but what that actually does is forces your plant to grow deeper roots, which is going to help it chase down more water and is actually good for it in the long run. So I watered really well yesterday. Most things in my garden do not need watering today. I will water this bed again, but not everything needs to be watered every single day. When I'm watering, I also try and count to like 20 or 30, just to make sure we've gotten a really good penetrating soak. I hope this was helpful to everyone who's getting started on their garden journey. If you learned something or found something particularly useful, please hit that thumbs up button. On Memorial Day, we're going to be starting what we've called the Food Sanctuary Challenge. My husband and I are going to try and reduce our grocery bill by 1/3 every week this summer using food that we've grown ourselves in the garden. If you would like to follow along with that, please hit subscribe or join us over on Instagram. And last but not least, if you have any questions or some additional helpful wisdom when it comes to watering, please share that below. Again, thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon.